enregistrer le cours. Juste attendre une seconde. Il y a quelqu'un qui est supposé de venir. Il est un peu en retard. C'était pas aujourd'hui. Un représentant de Conversations Unbound qui était supposé de venir. OK. Bon. De toute façon, OK. Je vais continuer avec le cours parce que je ne peux pas l'attendre. On était supposé d'avoir une présentation avec un représentant de Conversations Unbound, mais je ne sais pas où est-il. Excuse, je pense que je voulais donner peut-être le mauvais. Est-ce que je voulais donner le mauvais lien? I might have given him the wrong link. Je vais vérifier, excusez-moi. Oui, il a dit ça, mais je ne sais pas où est-il. Je pense que je lui ai donné le mauvais lien, excusez-moi. Je vais lui donner le bon. Oui, c'est pas le bon. C'est ça le problème. J'espère que ça va marcher. C'était ma faute, it was my fault. I sent him my office hours link instead of the course link. Okay, on va continuer while we're waiting for him. I'm going to go ahead and start. This is my fault. My apologies. I sent the speaker the wrong link. Okay. I'm just going to switch into English. I just want to continue just where we left off last time about talking about intercultural competence and learning languages. We were left off about speaking languages. Do you speak other languages? And how has that affected your identity in some way? So if you want to share a little bit languages that you know, and how might that have affected your identity? Like, for example, for me, I think I talked about, I am a native speaker of English, but born to Chinese parents. And I am married to a French-speaking Canadian. So all these things sort of make up my identity in different languages. And also just my French also has a Quebecois accent. Because of that's where I'm from. So all these things I feel I'm able to make up my identity, and I'm able to see things from different perspectives. Sometimes in a good way, well, most of the time in a good way, and also being able to catch myself sometimes when I feel something that my mom might be saying in Chinese to me that I'm translating in English that doesn't sound right sometimes. It does just sound, a little bit abrupt, and then to remind myself, but no, in this language, things are expressed this way. So would you like to just comment briefly? What other languages do you know?
I would say for myself, I grew up in a household that speaks Arabic, but I like when I was a kid, I was able to speak it a lot more fluently than now. I still understand fluently, but it's
Mhm.
kind of, I guess, for my identity, it's kind of reaffirmed the belief just that, I'm. And when I go there, everybody's like, "Oh, you're American." They know who I am because they know my dad. And just reaffirms my identity as American, I guess, because they can tell right away from how I sound. But just even being able to still understand, it's allowed me to formulate, and I can still at least get by with a conversation. So it's allowed me to form a lot of relationships that I otherwise wouldn't have been able to. So that's nice.
Yeah, that's nice. Same thing with me. Like I am, my first language is Chinese. That was my first language I heard because that was what was spoken in the home. But at the same time, my Chinese stopped sort of developing once I went to school, and English became my dominant language. And so I remember
Right.
when I visited
Yeah.
China, I can speak Chinese, I can converse fine in Chinese on a day-to-day basis, but people know exactly by the vocabulary I use, and sometimes the expressions that I wasn't born in China. So, but you're right. But even knowing
Yeah,
that
so I'm
I'm able
definitely like
to.
just like a shell of myself that when I'm around like my
Mhm.
when I'm in Syria around my cousins and stuff, and just around here because I can express myself so much better in English, and in Arabic, it's just a lot tougher for me to give off to say exactly what I want to say and express myself how to for like. So my relationships, I hold back a little bit in my relationships. I would say it's not like all the way who I
Right, that makes sense. Sure.
how I
Yeah,
want to
thank
give
you.
off of myself. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Okay. Okay, well, my apologies. Zoe is here for conversation. I'm sorry, Zoe, I gave you my office hours link instead of the class link earlier.
No problem. No problem at all.
So, okay, so I'll turn things over to Zoe, who is going to talk to us about Conversations Unbound. And I want to make sure that let you be to share your screen.
Okay, give me just one moment here so I can share my screen with you. I'm going to turn off my camera and mute myself for 1 second while I do that, and I will be right back with you with the presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Zoe's going to give us a demonstration on how to register. Some of you may be familiar already if you've taken 1102 with us, the procedure, but I know some people here are new to this language sequence, so she'll help get us set up.
Okay. Hopefully you all can hear me all right.
Yes.
Okay, great. All right.
Should I turn off? I'm gonna turn off my video.
Okay. So, as we said, my name is Zoe. I've been with Conversations Unbound for, oh gosh, for I guess this is my second full year. This is my third semester. Sorry, there we go. Does that look okay for you guys?
Mhm.
Okay, great. So this is my third semester working with Conversations Unbound. I work as a program coordinator, so coordinating with classrooms, and then I also work as the Arabic tutor liaison. I actually am a student at OSU as well, and started working with Conversations Unbound after being interested from working as a student with a conversation partner.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
Okay.
definitely very close. I'm minoring in French right now at OSU. Um, so a little bit about Conversations Unbound. We work with forcibly displaced people and connect them as conversation partners to university students, which is what you all will be experiencing. And so a bit about our mission. Globally right now, there are about 103 million people who have been forcibly displaced worldwide. Since the start of Conversations Unbound, that number has grown by about 25 million people. So it's quite a quick growing number. And people are forcibly displaced for many different reasons, whether it's persecution, conflict, violence, economic instability, or climate change. And so, of course, that kind of results in all these societal resentments that we see growing, kind of acts of xenophobia around the world. So a lot of those things are what led to the creation of Conversations Unbound, just addressing those issues. So our mission is that we empower forcibly displaced people to work as paid Arabic, Spanish, and French conversation partners with students around the country. And this creates opportunities for those forcibly displaced people to increase their agency, because we often think of forcibly displaced people as kind of just being, there's this general sentiment of they receive help. And then there's this growing resentment of they kind of are a quote unquote drain on society. So that negates their own agency and the expertise and the experiences that these people really have to offer. So getting to work as a conversation partner, it really just gets to utilize all of their wonderful skills and talents and experiences, and give them more that way of harnessing their skills. It provides them a supplementary income. And then, of course, for students, as you all will be experiencing, it gives you an opportunity to practice a foreign language that you're learning with a native speaker, or at least somebody who's fluent in that language. And there's this really beautiful cross-cultural exchange that happens beyond the conversations, beyond just the topics. So it's a really great way to kind of get exposed to different cultures, different parts of the world that maybe you wouldn't have had kind of an insight in. And it's this very low pressure, nice casual conversation you get to have with people. As Conversations Unbound is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, so all of the money that students give for sessions goes directly to the conversation partners. We don't keep any of it, so it's really another way of just creating that autonomy for forcibly displaced people. Our history, we were founded by an undergraduate student, Elise Shea, when she was attending Vassar College in New York. It was founded in 2016, and since then we've worked with, as you see, more than 2,600 students. There have been almost 6,000 hours of sessions, and amidst all of our conversation partners, they've been able to earn just over $100,000 total. So for some people, this helps just put groceries in the fridge, or it helps somebody get a work permit in a country. It's not their full income, but it's just a little extra. And we've been lucky enough to work with Vassar. We've got a really great partnership at Ohio State, of course. We work with Michigan State. We've worked with Yale, University of the Redlands, University of Richmond, and then also a high school in Maine. So we're really grateful for all the partnerships that we get to work with. And our conversation partners are just wonderful. So for Spanish partners, Arabic and French, we've got people originating from Mexico, Venezuela, Syria, Egypt, Burkina Faso, Burundi, Congo, Brazzaville, and the Democratic of Congo. So really just a broad range. And these people currently live in Turkey and Germany, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Syria, Mexico, US, Venezuela, South Africa, Kenya. And some of those names you see that they're both where people are originally from and also where they currently reside. And those are instances of internal forced displacement. So there's a lot of different unique stories here. In terms of the people you'll be working with, the administrators, there's 12 volunteers. Everybody is either a student or a young professional, and people who work for CU, we all volunteer. We're all full-time engaged with things. Some people live as far as East Lansing or all the way to Vienna, Austria, so all over the globe. Okay, so that's a bit about us. And now, of course, what you'll need to know is how to create an account. So I'm going to run through this. You're also going to receive a PDF later today of this presentation. So if you don't catch it all on the first go, that's fine. And then at the end of this little segment, I'm going to give you all a few minutes to create your accounts, and then you can ask any questions you have also. So first you're going to go to this, this link, app.conversationsunbound.org/login. And it will look like this little screen, really straightforward, first name, last name. When you put your email, please put your Ohio State student email account. For some of you, if you've already taken sessions with Conversations Unbound, you might already have an account, and that's great. You do not need to make a new one at all. You're just set, and we'll take some time to pair you with a tutor later on. But if you're creating a new account, really important, put your Ohio State email account, and then for your time zone, you need to put the Eastern Standard Time Zone, and that's a really important part too. I'll show you that on the next slide. And you're setting up your basic profile, so you can just put a little bit of information, put in a picture. It's just a nice thing to have. And so here it's going to be important. It's going to again ask you your time zone. You want to put GMT 0500 Eastern Time Zone, because this is where you'll be kind of syncing your calendar with your conversation partner. If this part is off, then what'll happen is the calendars won't sync properly, and maybe you think you scheduled something for noon, but the conversation partner sees it as a different time, so you'll just kind of miss each other, and it can become really frustrating. So that's an important part to focus in on. Okay, from there you'll just get this, thanks for signing up. And after, within 24 hours of signing up, so really by tomorrow, your program coordinator who you'll be working with this semester will have approved your account. You don't need to do anything else. After that time, so 7 days from today, we will have you paired with a tutor. You don't have to keep checking. You're going to get an email notification saying that you've been paired. And that tutor or conversation partner is the person that you'll be having these sessions with through the semester. Okay, so now we're just going to go ahead and take a minute to create your account. So if you can go ahead and pull up that app.conversationsunbound.org/login and go ahead and take a few minutes and do that. And then I will come back to you when you all give me the go ahead.
Oh, it looks like somebody needs the link again. Could you put it in the chat perhaps?
Yeah, absolutely. Give me one moment here. All right, how's everyone doing with that? Do you need another minute?
Is everyone okay? I'm getting to that screen.
What was the time zone again that you're supposed to put it at?
Eastern time zone. So it should be GMT 0500, and then it'll say Eastern time zone next to it.
Wait, what was I supposed to do after I logged in? I'm sorry. I already have an account from last semester.
Oh, great. If you already have an account from last year, then you don't need to do anything. You're all set. It'll just take us up to 7 days to pair you, but you don't need to do anything at this time.
I don't need to like put my info in. You guys will know to pair me. Just
Yes, exactly, because we have a class list for this class, so we'll keep an
Okay.
eye out for you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Sure.
so this is only for those who haven't done it before.
That's right.
Okay.
And I will say, if you have done it before and you have a profile, it probably would be a good idea just to check that your time zone is correct. You can go in and look at your profile and make sure that your time zone is on the right spot. But let's go ahead and move forward here. And of course, if you have any questions that come up after this presentation, again, your program coordinator will reach out and you can always ask them as well. Okay, so now we're going to go into just the basics of how to schedule a session. For some of you, this might be redundant, but just to refresh your memory. So this will be what your page looks like once you have your account approved and paired. You'll be in the Home tab and you'll go to Schedule, and the calendar will show up here. Oh, sorry, you guys. The calendar will show up here, and then you'll see on the right-hand side your tutors. So this is a fake student account, but you will only have one tutor, and you'll click on their name, and then their availability schedule will show up for you. This is what an availability schedule looks like. You'll see the kind of like purplish blue squares are the time that the conversation partner has available. And your sessions are only going to be half an hour long. So when you go to schedule, you're going to click on one of these little kind of blue purple boxes. You click on it once and it'll turn red, kind of like a slow flashing red. And you're going to click on it a second time. You'll see on the right side of your screen, it's going to generate the start and end time of that session. And if that looks right to you, then you click submit. So that's just clicking submit. And once you do click submit, then that little red box that you've selected will turn white and it should have your name in it. All right, at the time of your session, it's going to be your responsibility as a student to begin the session. So I always, when I schedule a session, I always like to put it in my personal calendar, so I just get a quick reminder of it. At the time of your session, then you're going to go to your tutor's profile, and they're going to have the meeting details in there that they prefer. So this tutor likes to use Zoom. He's provided the passcode, and he's given you the link. So that's important. Some of them prefer to have WhatsApp, or some might prefer to use Google Meet. And so we really leave that up to our conversation partners to decide, because they might have more experience with a certain platform and feel more comfortable with it, or they might know their internet works really well for this platform, but not that. So that's kind of why you see that variance. But at the time of the meeting, again, you're just going to go in, plug in those meeting details, and they should be there to connect with you. So when you're scheduling a session, just a couple quick recommendations. You're not able to schedule in less than a 24-hour period, but we do, even beyond that, recommend that you schedule 3 days in advance. And the reason for that is that it gives plenty of buffer time around it. If you find you need to reschedule, if a conversation partner, that's rare, but if they find they need to reschedule, 3 days is a really good buffer zone. We encourage you to schedule ahead of your deadlines. Again, just to make sure that you're not stressing out that, you know, if the conversation takes a couple tries, maybe it didn't work out for connectivity issues, then you're not really worried about it too much. Also, we see a lot of demand right at the time of the deadline, and your conversation might only have 5 slots, but there's 10 students vying for it. So good to just, you have all the dates that you need already. You could go in at the end of this meeting and you could schedule all your times today if you wanted to. And of course, there's always the option to cancel or reschedule your session if you find later on that that time doesn't work for you. So just a couple quick frequently asked questions. Of course, like I just said, you can cancel your session if you need to, and we prefer that you cancel if you know that you're not going to make it, as opposed to keeping the session and having a no-show. We know that there's so much on students' plates, right? You've got classwork, you've got extracurriculars, you've got a personal life, maybe you have a family to take care of and work. So we definitely want everybody to be respectful of your time as students. And then similarly, our conversation partners have very full lives. Also, a lot of them work, have family, have personal obligations, just like yourself. Some of our conversation partners are actually in school as well. So We just want everyone to be really mindful of, we have very full lives. Schedule when you know it's going to work for you, and feel free to cancel if you need to. You can always email your conversation partner. Their email address is found on their profile page as well. So again, this is just a quick way how to cancel. You'll get this in your PDF form of this presentation. We just went over it, but you just click the little cancel button on your pending sessions. And there's nothing more that you need to do at that point. Your conversation partner will get an email saying that the session has been canceled. So you're good. You also can reschedule if you need to. When you reschedule, it just asks you what different time you want. And again, your conversation partner is automatically going to get a notification saying that you've asked to reschedule. So after your session is done, say that you missed a session, something came up, it's no big deal. Maybe you all of a sudden had a family emergency, or you had a last minute session or shift at work. Totally fine if you miss a session. You're not going to get your credits deducted indefinitely. You're not going to lose any points for that. We just ask that you book another session. It's nice if you can email your conversation partner and just say, hey, I'm sorry I missed. I just rebooked. I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. And then as soon as the conversation partner marks that as a missed session, your credit automatically is going to go back to your account. So you don't have to worry about, oh, I missed and now I can't do it anymore. You'll be fine. It's going to go back in a couple of days. If we see, maybe you missed 3 sessions in a row, then your program coordinator is going to reach out to you and just make sure everything's going okay. Are you having technical difficulties? Are you having internet issues? So we just want to check in with you and make sure you're feeling supported. It's not super common for a conversation partner to miss a session, but if they do, again, no credits are going to be deducted from you. If you see a credit pull out of your account, know it will go back. You're welcome to send a quick email to your conversation partner. We do recommend go ahead and right away reschedule your session. And if you feel at all uncomfortable or concerned or just want to communicate about it, you can email your program coordinator as well and let them know what's going on. Okay, so the conversation for Ohio State, there's 3 sessions. Each is 30 minutes long. And again, all those dates are already in your syllabus. And for OSU, they're very specific conversation topics. So that's determined by the French curriculum. You're of course welcome to go past that and kind of have bigger conversations with your conversation partner that go beyond just your requirements. And we really encourage that. You can get a lot out of it that way. A couple quick things about cultural sensitivity, because often we're working with people from cultures that we don't have experience with. First of all, we don't use the term refugee or refugee crisis. You've heard me say a lot of times we use forcibly displaced. The reason for that is that the term refugee tends to be really disempowering. It doesn't encompass a lot of different experiences of forcible displacement. And also that term crisis can tend to mean like it's very temporary. The phrasing refugee crisis can put a lot of responsibility on the forcibly displaced people and kind of turn it into like the people are the problem, which is not our view at all. So we like to say forcibly displaced instead of refugee crisis. We find that it encompasses a lot more experiences and is a lot more compassionate to those experiences. Again, this is just explaining why we use that terminology. And things to keep in mind is that we don't give a questionnaire ahead of time. You know this if you've worked with Conversations Unbound. We don't give a questionnaire of like, what are your interests, and then try to pair you with the perfect partner. We really pair you at random. We have vetted all of our conversation partners really thoroughly. They're all wonderful. They've all worked with us for years. And you get paired randomly so that you're kind of thrown into a situation that you wouldn't necessarily have exposure to otherwise. And it's just really good to kind of get out of our own silos of what is comfortable and who do we just talk to, and expand our worldview and expand our cultural awareness. That having been said, there's still a lot of point of connectivity. So it's easy to find commonality with anybody that you talk to. You can talk about your interests, your experiences, your point of view. And it all might be similar, and you might find that there are differences, but normally it's pretty easy to find points of connection. My experience with conversation partners, we've talked about food, we've talked about music, we've talked about books. So find things that are cultural connection points. Okay, so quick important tip that we just want to put on your radar is that some people who've been forcibly displaced, actually almost all of our conversation partners, probably have quite a traumatic displacement story. Some people have been through some really hard, very sensitive situations. Some people have gone through physical atrocities or experienced a lot of loss. So we ask to avoid asking about the migration story of somebody, of how they moved to this place, or for example, one of our program coordinators worked with a conversation partner and asked about that person's family. And it turns out that they had lost their entire family due to a conflict, due to war. And so these are things that we don't necessarily have on our radar immediately, but we just want to be really mindful when working with populations that have been through traumatic experiences. And of course, just on this previous slide too, we want to acknowledge that students have had many experiences as well, and we want you to feel comfortable. So if a conversation partner says something that you don't feel comfortable talking about, you are more than welcome to just say you want to change the subject, or that you're not comfortable talking about that. All of our conversation partners also go through a cultural sensitivity training. So you are more than welcome and encouraged to use your voice to say what you are comfortable with and not comfortable with. Quick point about kind of how we have wonderful resources. For the most part, we have really reliable internet. We've got good connection. We might know a million different platforms and how to navigate them. We want to be mindful of forcibly displaced people sometimes don't have access to all the same resources that we do. For example, some of our French tutors live in a refugee camp in Kenya, and their internet can be spotty. So we try as an organization to support them by giving them Wi-Fi modems or investing in solar panels to better that access to connectivity. But it's not as flawless as it is for us. The other thing we want you to be mindful of is load shedding. This is something, unfortunately, that's happening a lot in South Africa, where if you're not familiar with it, the government tends to shut off large segments of the power grid to conserve, or under the guise of conserving energy. And it can be really limiting to people's lives. So we've had some conversations to experience that. We ask them if they are experiencing that to email their students immediately after they've gotten power back and just check in and let us know if they've missed any sessions. But that can happen, and unfortunately, it's really beyond our control or the conversation partner's control. And again, this is where we think it's a good idea to leave like a 3-day buffer if you can for scheduling sessions. Okay, lastly, we want to emphasize that you will be supported by someone from CU the entire semester. So you will be working with one program coordinator for your entire class. We will always do our best to respond to you within 48 hours, whatever problem you have, that's including on the weekends. If it's just a question, if you want to run through a mock trial of the session, whatever you need, we will be emailing you every week, also with reminders, important information, so you will have whatever support you're needing. Again, we're going to do the weekly reminders. We also work directly with the conversation partners. So if you have a grievance and you feel more comfortable talking to us, let us know. If there's something where you're just having like a little disconnect with your conversation partner, let us know. We're completely here. And then also, last thing is that's new this semester is that after every single session, we will be sending a progress and participation report to your professor. So they'll see who was able to complete the session, who still has to complete it, and we'll just be kind of keeping tabs and seeing if we need to check in with you or if you're needing a little more support. Again, just a quick reminder, as much as we are completely here for you, do be patient. Sometimes it does take the full 48 hours to get back to you, but we'll get back to you as soon as possible. And lastly, I heard that one gentleman say that he has worked with CU before. So if you have worked with CU or you find at the end of the semester that you really loved the mission and you loved the program and you're interested in volunteering with us, we're always looking for new volunteers. You can reach out to us and let us know. Like I said, that's how I got involved with the program, and it's been a really great experience for me. So definitely we would love to chat with you about that. Like I said, after this, the program coordinator will be emailing you. It's going to have a quick OSU student guide, which has frequently asked questions. It talks about how to pay for your sessions. And it'll also have a PDF of this presentation. So that should be everything. And if you need anything else, you can just let us know. All right.
Right. Thank you, Zoe. Are there any quick questions for Zoe? The moment everything seems clear. Okay. Well, that's great. Well, I didn't realize that you're an OSU student and you got involved as a result of participating yourself in Conversations Unbound.
Yeah, it's been a really great team to be with. So I encourage anybody who's interested. I'm a minor in French. I'm an African Studies and then Women and Gender Sexuality Studies double major. So it's been, a great, interesting part of my experience as well.
Okay, that's wonderful. Right.
All right. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Zoe.
All right. Take care.
Take care. Okay, how do I get this? My view. Okay. Gallery. Okay. Yeah, so that was a nice presentation that she did. I think some of you have already worked with Conversations Unbound, so you're familiar, but this is just a nice tutorial to walk you through. Remember, the due dates are in Carmen, so you can schedule ahead of time to see when the assignments are for Conversations Unbound and schedule accordingly. Okay. Are there any questions? Everyone's okay there. All right. Okay. So then let me go. I just wanted to continue our discussion. We're talking about languages. Okay. Are there other languages that you know? Danny just talked about speaking Arabic. Do some of you speak other languages besides French and English? Who speaks other?
I'm a Malay native speaker.
You're
English. Yeah, so English is my second language actually, but I've been learning it since I was a child.
Okay.
So being fluent in Malay, it just connects with my culture, and then I also understand a bit of Arabic, so that just connects me with my religion as well. And English, like it allows me to, interact and converse with a lot of people since I study here in America.
Yeah.
And now I'm learning French as well.
Okay, great. So really, yeah, the diversity. I think any language, even when we know a little bit of a language, that's just so enriching. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you. Anyone else? You speak other languages or have studied other languages?
I do. So as I stated, I'm from West Africa, Guinea. I speak Mandingo. I grew up in the household speaking that. English is not my second language, but growing up in the house where it was like a mixture of my parents trying to learn English and then me being a child trying to teach them English that I know, and then trying to pass down being taught our native language as well. It was difficult, obviously. You don't think as a child that you have to, help your parents with documents and all types of stuff at a young age. As someone else stated, I think as a child I spoke it better than I do now. So yeah, pretty interesting. But I mean, I wasn't born in West Africa. I was born in America, so that's what I was around most of the time. So.
Yeah. Well, what you mentioned is not uncommon, helping parents with documents, because when you learn English, that's actually a very common sort of experience with some, with children who have parents whose English is not as good. So what you bring up actually is a pretty common phenomena. So yeah, but thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
Yeah, and anyone else? No other languages? Okay, yeah, well, you're all taking French, so you have, all right, you have that language that you're in the process of learning now. All right. Okay, let me just get back to where we were. Identity. Okay, so these when about language learning, how that changes our identity. When learning a new language, we are meeting new people, making new friends, learning how to express, present, and define ourselves to others, learning about cultural diversity, all in a language that is not our own. So this process will change us and will prepare us for a lifetime of interacting with others from backgrounds different from our own. And this helps us develop, our intercultural competence. Intercultural competence is a lifelong process that includes the development of the attitudes, respect, openness, curiosity, knowledge, meaning knowledge of self, culture, sociolinguistic issues, of skills such as to listen, observe, interpret, analyze, evaluate, and relate, and qualities such as adaptability, flexibility, empathy, and cultural decentering in order to behave and communicate effectively and appropriately to achieve one's goals to some degree. And we're going to focus a lot on, the definition of empathy and cultural decentering. Sympathy, right? We can say, I'm sorry, that you're in pain or you're in that situation. We can say that, but empathy is when we can really relate. I actually feel your pain, or I care very deeply enough to really make an effort to feel what you are feeling. And learning a language does this because one of the things we're going to realize is, and some of you already have learned another language, what it feels like. When people learn a language, right? We talked about this in the last class. You feel like a child because you can't say what you want to say. You can't say what your adult brain would like to say. And so you're fumbling for your words and that. And so when we're taking a language, we understand, we can empathize with how others feel when they can't speak our language as well. We know what it's like we will know what it's like for someone else to not be able to express themselves as well. Because we're in that situation when we're learning a language. In cultural decentering, this means that we have realized that our individual perspectives and our own culture are not central to the interpretation of any situation. We understand that our perspective is not always right to everyone, and that our culture is not a perfect model for all to follow. So we begin to see that when we learn languages, we begin to see that there are other perspectives, and our perspective is not, is not the perfect model, that there are different perspectives. So we understand that other perspectives and cultures are just as real and valuable as ours, and we learn to work with this diversity of reality. So this is what cultural decentering means. And you will see that on your exams, so activities, you will always have a question that in English, okay, that deals with intercultural competence. And then sometimes the question will ask you, about cultural decentering. Are you able to culturally decenter from your perspective? So it helps to bring this up. And so developing intercultural competence is a lifelong process. I think we can all relate to this. Some days, like for myself, my intercultural competence is strong, and other days it's not. It's challenged. And sometimes I find even as an adult, growing up with my parents and understanding, being a linguist and all that, there are still days, sometimes when my parents will say something in Chinese that I have a tendency to translate that into English, and in English that often has a different meaning. And sometimes, sometimes what they say can bother me on some level until I step back and say, well, wait, I have to take this from their perspective. My perspective is not always necessarily the best one. So just to close here, about World Languages, Skills, and Competencies Workshop, this is offered through the Center for Languages, Literatures, and Culture. So you can also earn a certificate on intercultural competence should this interest you. But we will be talking about some of these topics through this course. And just as a reminder to you, we talked about this last time, taking a language, we're all nervous. We don't like making mistakes, but to reassure you to not worry about that. In class, you are graded on participation. And in fact, today we start grading participation today. We didn't last week, just to give you a chance to warm up. And it doesn't matter, really doesn't matter. You do say things that, are incorrect, because that's just going to happen. And it's about you just trying to express yourself and being comprehensible. And that takes practice, but the more you speak, the better you will become. And there may be times when, maybe I won't quite understand a word that you're saying, and I may ask you to repeat. Don't get nervous. That is perfectly normal. And sometimes, I may not be able to understand, or others not understand, and I may ask you to put it in the chat, and then we'll try to understand this together. Okay, so this is just part of the process. So it's nothing to feel bad about or to feel nervous about. It's just that's just how it is when we are learning a new language. Okay. J'ai commencé le cours, je vous avais demandé comment avez-vous fêté l'anniversaire de Martin Luther King, et je vous ai expliqué que j'ai réécouté le grand discours de Martin Luther King, et je vous ai parlé la dernière fois aussi de Gregory Charles, un chanteur, un musicien dont le père était un ami de Martin Luther King. Okay? Donc, je vais jouer cet extrait, cette vidéo, et j'aimerais que vous notez tout ce que vous pouvez comprendre. Okay, so as I play this video for you, I want you can take notes if you like, just jot down in French or in English, just whatever you can understand. Okay, that Gregory Charles is saying. And he is perfectly bilingual, and you will see that he code switches constantly. He switches back and forth from English to French. Okay, so I'll play this for you. Do your best just to try to comprehend. You can jot down notes, and then afterwards we will talk about what you understood from this video. Okay, this is going to work here. Oh, what the heck just happened? I think I switched this too fast. Hang on a second. Let me get back to.
Gregory Charles, Music Man.
From Quebec, Gregory Charles.
My dad was the guy who walked with Martin Luther King. My dad was the guy who was there at the Washington Mall when Martin Luther King said, "I have a dream that one day Jews and Gentiles, white men and black men will come together in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, thank God Almighty, we're free at last." So I knew that from his perspective, if something's important to you, it's important to you all the time.
Mon père est originaire d'une petite île dans les Antilles qui s'appelle Trinidad and Tobago. Et alors mon père a appris un tout petit peu de français, un tout petit peu de cette langue qui s'appelle le patois. Mon père, des années plus tard dans sa vie, a marché avec Martin Luther King pendant 4 ans. Il est devenu un émissaire de Martin Luther King. Et il a été dépêché au Québec pour lire une lettre de Martin Luther King dans une rencontre sur les droits civils, an international meeting on civil rights. Alors mon père arrive à Montréal, au Québec, pour lire cette lettre de Martin Luther King. Et après avoir lu la lettre, dit « Je suis à Montréal pour une seule journée. Il paraît que Montréal, c'est une ville de... c'est party town. J'aimerais bien sortir et voir la ville. » Les gens lui ont proposé de se rendre dans une boîte de nuit, un bar setting. Et mon père, un grand monsieur anglophone noir, 6'1", almost 6'2", se rend là, et la première personne qu'il croise est une petite madame francophone, 4'11". Mon père rencontre cette femme-là et elle lui adresse la parole en français. Et lui se sert du tout petit peu de français qu'il connaît pour communiquer avec elle. Le peu de patois qui lui reste de ce que sa propre mère lui a enseigné. And they end up dancing together for a while and never leaves. Quelques mots m'ont suffi. Parce que, otherwise, il y avait tellement de différences entre les deux. Mon père, un grand anglophone noir, ma mère, une petite francophone blanche. Il faut comprendre, the year is 1965. 1965, c'est tellement loin de votre vie, là. 1965, c'est l'année où la chanson la plus populaire de l'année, c'était Oh, my love, my darling, I've hungered for your touch a long, lonely time. That's 1965, 1965. On est loin de... Autre monde, autre espace. Alors, 65, c'est cette année-là. 65, c'est aussi une année où, ici aux États-Unis, le mariage entre un homme noir et une femme blanche était illégal dans 31 des 50 États américains. Alors, c'est un autre monde. Mais pour mon père, il s'agit de quelques mots de français pour pouvoir... Il s'agit de quelques mots de français pour que mon père et ma mère se rencontrent et ensuite construisent une vie qui a duré 50 ans. Alors, I'm not telling you that le fait de parler français c'est ce qui va vous permettre de rencontrer l'amour de votre vie. But maybe it will. C'est possible. C'est possible aussi que, oubliez de rencontrer l'amour de votre vie, c'est possible que parce que vous apprenez le français, que vous lisiez éventuellement un poème de Rimbaud ou de Verlaine ou de Stendhal et que votre compréhension de l'amour change complètement parce que l'amour ne s'exprime pas de la même façon dans toutes les langues. Le français, c'est une langue particulièrement amoureuse. Et il se peut que parce que pas lire la traduction. Il se peut que parce que vous apprenez le français et que vous tombiez sur la légende des siècles de Victor Hugo, que subitement vous dites « Oh! » C'est vrai de d'autres langues. Si vous apprenez l'espagnol un jour, ou vous parlez peut-être déjà, puis que vous lisez Pablo Neruda, Quiero que sepas una cosa. Si tu me olvidas, si vous lisez ça un jour, puis que vous lisez un poème où ce qu'il dit, c'est « Si un jour tu m'oublies, dis-toi que je vais t'avoir oublié avant. » C'est une façon emphatique de vivre l'amour, beaucoup plus emphatique que ce qu'on entend en général en anglais, qui est une belle langue, mais où massivement en anglais, la façon de dire « je t'aime », c'est « I love you, I love you, I love you. That's all I have to say. Until I find a way. » Alors, c'est riche la décision d'apprendre toute autre langue, mais particulièrement d'apprendre le français. Apprendre une langue, c'est le même geste que de déverrouiller les portes. Alors, on peut vivre dans sa vie en verrouillant les portes dès qu'on est entré, ou alors on peut vivre sa vie en ayant les fenêtres ouvertes et les portes déverrouillées, et apprendre une langue, déjà en apprendre une, c'est poser ce geste-là. C'est un geste de open for business. Le ciel est bleu, j'ai de
OK, donc j'arrête ici. OK, et puis donc on va prendre une pause de 10 minutes et après on va voir ce que vous avez compris. OK, a short break, 10 minutes. Come back at 6:30. OK, tout le monde est de retour, c'est 6h30. Okay. Donc, qu'est-ce que vous avez compris, OK, de la présentation de Gregory Charles? OK, you can say either in French or in English. Just give me something that you understood that Gregory said. OK, and I'm gonna have you share it. I'm gonna call on everybody tonight so that I can give everybody a good score for participation today. Owen?
Yeah, when he first started talking in French, I think I picked up that he said his dad was from Trinidad and his mom was Canadian.
Yes, that's right. Dad from Trinidad, mom's Canadian, in Montreal. Okay, great. Maddie, what did you pick up?
I had a lot of trouble understanding.
That's okay. And
Also, I don't know if my connection was off because like I had when he was first talking and on like a stage I could hear, but like after that I had a little trouble hearing as well as understanding. But yeah, I mostly just got that he was talking about his dad at one point.
Okay, so you got that he's talking about his dad. Okay, well that's still
Yeah.
something. So you understood he was talking about his father. That's something too. Great. Thank you, Maddie. Caitlin?
I think I remember him talking about how his parents met in, I want to say it was 1965.
Yes. Okay, good. Very good. Okay. Waji, tell us something that you got out of that video.
I think I picked up that he met his wife while he was dancing, something like that.
Yes, they were dancing. Right. Very good. Okay, Andrew? Your microphone, you're muted.
I too had some issues hearing it past the beginning when he started speaking in French. Just I heard that where his mother and father were from.
Okay. All right. That's all right. Lillian?
I was having some technical difficulties during most of the thing. I'm at my grandma's house, so it's a little, but I think I got that his parents met in 1965, and something that I didn't know was that interracial marriage was still illegal in 31 of the 50 states.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said,
at that
remember,
point in time.
At that point in time, in 1965, interracial marriage, he said, was still illegal in 31 of the states in the United States. So he was just trying to make a point of just how extraordinary that experience was given the context, the historical context. Yeah, excellent. Camelia?
Oh, I didn't really understand a lot what they said, but among the things I got is a lot about his family, like his father, mother, and wife.
Okay, so you got there's something about his mother and his and father.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Christine?
I also kind of had a hard time because my internet's spotty right now. But I picked up, I think that his parents met in like 1965.
Yeah, that was the year that they met, right, in Montreal. Yeah. Dina?
Yeah, I didn't get anything out of that. I was completely lost. I'm just being honest.
Okay, that's okay. That's okay. But you get something. You know, some people got like it's about father or mother, right? That is also something. Okay. Danny?
I want to say that he was describing his mom that when he was saying that she was like 4'11" and francophone. Is that just referencing French?
That's exactly what he said.
or
And what about his dad?
6'3" or something? And yeah, I didn't get that other part though. I don't know what he was
Yeah,
saying.
just his dad, you know, a black man, 6'3", whatever, 6 something.
Yeah,
Mom,
tall
you know,
guy.
white
Real
woman,
small.
4'11", yeah, in 1965, right?
Très petite.
Very petite. Yeah, Teddy?
I think I got that his dad likes to party. Was that correct?
Yes, that's what he said. He's like, oh, you know, while I'm in Montreal, it's a party town, so I'm gonna go, you know, go to a boîte à nuit, which is like a bar, right, kind of bar setting. Yes, good. Salimatu?
Didn't he say that his dad walked with MLK for like 4 years?
4 years. He was a friend of Martin Luther King, and yeah, he walked with Martin Luther King for 4 years. Exactly. Yeah. Great. Perry?
I was unsure if he was referring to himself or to his parents, but I picked up on the fact that he's an Elvis fan. He played the song.
Okay. Well, Gregory is a fan of like every musical genre. He played, yeah, but why did he play that Elvis song? It was to, you know, he was talking to OSU students and high school students. It's like the year is 1965. And he goes, so he plays a song for 1960, just to make the point. It's really far, loin. It's very far from your, you know, your context. So he's trying to play, he played the Elvis song to kind of set the context. This was the song, you know, that was popular in 1965. And I don't know what he played after that. Must be some more modern kind of things. Like, you know, we're nowhere near this. We're back in 1965 where Elvis was popular. Yeah, great. Daria?
Yeah, I heard something about the 411, but I wasn't sure who he was referring to. So talking about it cleared that up. He was talking about his mom was 411. And then I did hear about I did pick up on the 4 years his dad walked.
Right, with Martin Luther King.
With Martin Luther King, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Siri? Oh, what happened here with my microphone? Is this there? Okay, yeah. I turned this off. I don't know why Siri is speaking. This is weird.
I didn't get that.
Okay,
Can you
just
try again?
how do I turn this volume down? My volume is off too. Anyway, okay. Okay, did you hear why his father was in Montreal? He was supposed to be there just for one day. Why was he in Montreal? Did anyone get that?
Was he performing?
No, his dad was not performing. His dad was in Montreal to deliver a speech on behalf of Martin Luther King. He mentioned it was on some meeting of civil rights. So his father was sent to Montreal by Martin Luther King to deliver a speech on his behalf. And so when he was done with the speech in Montreal, he was only supposed to be there for one day. And he said, oh, am I in Montreal just one day, you know, and he like, you know, like I think Teddy said, you know, he likes to party. So he's like, you know, I'm going to go out. And so he goes to a bar, meets his mother, meets this woman. And he makes the point, did his father speak French? Very little. His father knew a couple of words of French, But the point he was making was that even a couple words, that was enough, because his mother addressed him in French, and then he was able to recall a couple of words that he learned from his, now it wasn't even like French, it was patois, that has French in it. And for those few words, he was able to, make a connection with her in French. And then he says, that connection, tall Black man, petite white woman in 1965, when interracial marriage was still illegal in most parts of the United States, with those few words of French that he knew, they were able to make a connection, and then his father never left. And then they ended up building a life together for 50 years. And so, so it's quite an extraordinary story. And also, he was at OSU, and so I had dinner with Gregory the night before. He gave a performance at OSU as well in Columbus. But I had dinner with him, and he told us this story, which was fascinating. We were at the refectory, the French restaurant in Columbus, refectory, and he said that his father. Now, I don't know if this is 100% true, but this is according to his father, what his father told Gregory, that he was there when Martin Luther King gave that speech, "I Have a Dream." And he said that his father was there, not far from him. And that while he was making the speech, he's making this famous speech, there was a woman behind him somewhere in the crowd who kept saying, "Martin, Martin, tell them about the dream." And and he just keeps going on, with his speech. And this woman was very insistent, "Martin, Martin, tell them about the dream." And then finally, then he breaks out into the, "I have a dream." So I don't know how much this is true, but Gregory's father, his name was Len, according to him, he thinks that the speech, the "I have a dream," that came from a woman who was part of the crowd. That's his interpretation. I don't know how much of that is true. If Martin Luther King already had the speech written, and this woman at the same time was also saying, "Tell them about the dream, tell them about the dream." But according to Gregory's father, his late father, who told him the story, that it was a woman. He says, a woman was responsible for those words. So it was he's a fascinating person, and he's perfectly bilingual, speaks other languages, and someone who. And the reason why he played that song, I think, it was part of his show. What he does is at his show, he has a show where he did this at OSU. He's at the audience, "Give me 5 dates." Randomly, the audience will give him 5 dates, 1950, the year 2000, or whatever. Then he retains these dates, and he just goes to his piano and he starts telling stories, and he'll start playing songs from the dates that the audience gives him. So he's quite talented. And but I played this video for you for 2 reasons. One, because he talks about Martin Luther King. Yesterday was Martin Luther King's birthday, but also Gregory's message about language learning, and how, with his father, just how, just a couple of words, that you don't have to be fluent, just a couple of words can get you very far. So that was the point of that. And right now, I'll have a chance to see Gregory again back in Quebec back in August. He's now doing The Sound of Music. He just produced he's doing the musical. He totally produced a new version of the musical in French of the Sound of Music. Okay, on continue. Où sommes-nous? Okay, I'm going to go through the lesson kind of quickly here, because with conversations unbound, I don't want to take up too much time. Mais on a parlé de la fleur de lys. Vous avez une lecture sur la fleur de lys. Que signifie la fleur de lys? Pour moi, la fleur de lys représente le Québec. Pour moi, personnellement, j'adore ce symbole parce que pour moi, c'est un symbole du Québec. On a la fleur de lys dans le drapeau québécois. Donc, vous avez lu ce texte sur la fleur de lys, Et vous savez que de quand date la fleur de lys? La fleur de lys date du Moyen Âge. Où peut-on trouver la fleur de lys en Amérique du Nord? On peut trouver ce symbole dans le Québec. C'est un symbole très important au Québec et la Nouvelle-Orléans aussi, on trouve la fleur de lys. Puis, que symbolise la fleur de lys en France? En France, c'est le royaume, la monarchie. Pour Québec, c'est la fierté d'être francophone. Okay, ça, c'est mon chat Gaston qui est décédé. Et bon, c'est un chat québécois. Donc, ma question, possédez-vous un objet avec le motif de la fleur de lys? Est-ce que vous avez un objet dans votre possession avec la fleur de lys? Moi, j'ai aussi, je vais vous montrer. Excusez-moi, mon vidéo, je pense ma vidéo. J'ai ma tasse et aussi une fleur de lys. C'est ma tasse. Est-ce que vous avez un objet avec la fleur de lys? Quelqu'un? Anyone have anything that has a fleur de lys on it?
The New Orleans emblem.
The New Orleans emblem isn't the
Saints.
The Saints, right? They have the emblem, the fleur de lys. Yeah. Does anyone personally have something that has a symbol of the fleur de lys? It's well adapted here in the United States as well. Okay, c'est un symbole qui est aussi assez populaire, mais un peu partout en fait. Okay. Donc, faites attention. À votre avis, pourquoi la fleur de lys est si populaire? Pourquoi ce symbole est populaire? Okay, why is it so popular? Any ideas? En fait, mais j'ai un petit exercice pour vous d'extra credit. OK? Y a-t-il des fleurs de lys quelque part sur le campus ou dans votre ville? OK? Are there fleurs de lys around campus or in your neighborhood or whatever? If you see one, take a picture of it. There is an extra credit assignment in Carmen where you can post it and talk about where you see this symbol. Pour moi, je pense que le fleur de lys est important parce que c'est souvent, en Amérique du Nord, on associe le fleur de lys avec la France ou avec le Québec. Donc, c'est un symbole aussi de la langue française. Puis, vous avez lu aussi sur les blasons, le blason du Québec, ça c'est le blason du Québec et blason de Paris. Okay? On voit des couleurs semblables, le bleu, or, rouge, vert. Okay? C'est la même couleur aussi sur le blason de Paris. Donc, il y a des similarités entre les deux. Donc, vous avez donc aussi appris sur les couleurs, n'est-ce pas, le couleur blanc, couleur jaune, orange, rose, violet, bleu, beige, gris, marron. OK? Donc, quelle est votre couleur préférée? C'était ma question, mais ma couleur préférée est ça. Donc, à votre avis, quelle est ma couleur préférée? Est-ce que quelqu'un? Quelle est ma couleur préférée?
Ma couleur préférée est noir.
Ah, pour toi, c'est noir. OK. C'est noir. Moi, évidemment, c'est vert. Pour l'autre, c'est noir. OK. D'autres couleurs préférées?
Ma couleur préférée, c'est rouge.
Rouge. OK. Pour Danny, c'est rouge. OK. D'autres personnes?
Ma couleur.
Oh, sorry.
Ma couleur préférée, c'est violet.
Ah, violet. OK.
Violet.
Violet. OK. Cyril?
Ma couleur préférée est violet aussi.
Ah, OK. Et violet aussi. OK. Intéressant. J'aime cette couleur aussi, mais je préfère le vert. OK. Que représente le lion? Quel pays est associé avec le lion? Which country is associated with the lion?
Belgique.
La Belgique, oui, excellent. Et l'aigle, ça c'est facile. L'aigle, c'est?
America.
Oui, les États-Unis, l'Amérique, les États-Unis. Le coq,
Le Mbappé.
le quoi? J'ai pas entendu. Le...
France.
La France, oui, la France. Le coq est un symbole de la France. Le panda,
Les Chimons.
oui, la Chine. Oui, la Chine. À votre avis, que symbolise un couteau? Pour moi, un couteau symbolise la bonne cuisine. Okay, does someone have a different idea?
Oui.
Danny?
No, same thing, same thing.
Ok, la même chose. Ok, c'est ouais, c'est le couteau parce que j'aime faire la cuisine. Ok. Que symbolise une bague?
Un mariage.
Ah, mariage, oui. Oui, c'est une très, très bonne réponse. Et Brutus? Que symbolise Brutus?
Ohio State.
Ohio State, oui, Ohio State. Pourquoi notre mascotte est un buckeye avec des pieds? I always tell people our mascot is a nut with legs. Mais pourquoi? Est-ce que vous aimez Brutus? C'est un bon mascotte, à votre avis? Un bon symbole, Brutus? Vous aimez Brutus? Comme, c'est pourquoi c'est un buckeye, n'est-ce pas? Sa tête, c'est un buckeye. Est-ce que c'est la noix de l'Ohio? Is the official tree of Ohio? Is that why? C'est pour ça? Oui? OK. Parce que je viens de Chicago, donc c'est pas, pas nécessairement dans ma culture de tout ça. OK. OK. Puis, je passe à l'autre, parce qu'on n'a pas beaucoup de temps aujourd'hui. OK, je me screen. OK. OK, pour d'autres leçons. OK. OK, la dernière fois, vous avez vous présenté. OK? Donc, devinez c'est qui? Qui a dit ça? Je suis née à Kent, donc je suis américaine. Mon fiancé Drew est américain aussi. J'aime manger des bonbons et de la glace. J'étudie la psychologie. Qui l'a dit? Who said that? Est-ce que vous vous souvenez?
Me.
C'est Caitlin qui a dit ça. Puis, on a ensuite, j'habite à Dublin, je suis mariée avec un fils. J'ai un chat et un poisson. J'étais dans les militaires. Qui l'a dit? You remember who said that? Mariée avec un fils. Non, la personne est... Oh, pourquoi je ne peux pas avancer? C'est Andrew qui est marié avec un fils. Puis, je suis née dans l'Ohio, je suis américaine, je suis étudiante à l'Ohio State, je vis à Dayton avec ma famille. Qui l'a dit?
Moi.
OK, c'est Waji. Je suis née à Columbus, la capitale de l'État de l'Ohio. J'étudie la philosophie à OSU. J'habite dans la ville de Columbus. Qui l'a dit? Ça, c'était, on n'avait pas de photo, mais c'est Daria. Et puis, je suis née à Long Island. Je suis américaine. Je suis étudiante à OSU depuis l'an 2020. J'habite dans la ville de Columbus. J'aime le cinéma et les jeux vidéo. Qui l'a dit? OK, c'est Perry. Et bon, je suis née à Cleveland. Je suis aussi d'origine philippine. Ma spécialité est la biologie. J'aime courir. Qui l'a dit? Je ne sais pas si la personne est là. Ça et pourquoi ça ne marche pas? Et Christine qui a dit ça. J'habite dans la ville de Whitehall. J'ai un chat qui s'appelle Juno. Je suis étudiant en psychologie. Mon genre de musique préféré est R&B. Qui l'a dit? Ce n'est pas ça, c'est Mary. Oui, ensuite, je suis américaine. Je suis née à Newark, Delaware, mais j'habite à Columbus. J'ai un frère et deux sœurs plus jeunes que moi. J'aime faire la cuisine, chanter, regarder des films et jouer au football. J'adore les chats. Qui l'a dit?
C'est moi.
Liliane, oui, ok, ça c'est Liliane. Ok, je suis née à Toledo, donc je suis américaine. Je suis aussi d'origine syrienne parce que mes parents sont nés en Syrie. Je suis étudiant à OSU et j'étudie l'économie. J'aime jouer au basket et à d'autres sports. J'aime rendre visite à mes parents le week-end. Qui l'a dit? Quelqu'un se souvenir? Ça, c'est Danny. Ça va avec un N, je pense. Et je suis née à Columbus, Ohio, mais ma famille est originaire de Guinée, en Afrique de l'Ouest. Je suis étudiant à OSU. J'aime me maquiller. Qui l'a dit? Vous vous souvenez? Ça, c'était Cyril. Et je suis née à London, j'habite à Cincinnati, j'étudie les sciences politiques, j'ai deux chats et un chien. J'aime lire la fiction historique. C'est qui? Oh. Ça, c'est Owen. Et je suis née à Chicago, je suis un senior et j'étudie les sciences politiques. J'ai deux chiens chez moi à Chicago. J'aime jouer au basket et jouer aux jeux vidéo avec mes amis. Ça, c'est... Ça, c'est Teddy. Et finalement, je suis américaine, j'étudie la psychologie et l'art. Je travaille dans un café. J'ai un chien qui s'appelle Zero. Vous vous souvenez? Il y a un chien qui s'appelle Zero. Cette personne est Mardi. Puis, je suis née à Columbus, Ohio. Mes parents sont de la Guinée. Je suis d'origine guinéenne. Je suis dans ma deuxième année à OSU. J'étudie la psychologie. J'aime le cinéma et la musique. C'est qui? Ça, c'est Salimatu. Et finalement, je suis née à Kuala Lumpur, donc je suis malaisienne. J'étudie l'informatique. J'aime faire la cuisine et faire du shopping aussi. Ça, c'est dernièrement, ça, c'est Camélia. OK? Donc, puis, qu'est-ce que vous avez en commun? Qu'est-ce que nous avons en commun? What do we have in common? On a Andrew, Mary et Owen ont des chats. Maddie et Mary étudient la psychologie. Salimatu et Cyril sont de Guinée. Hein? On a Perry, Lillian et Salimatu aiment le cinéma. On parle du cinéma. Okay? Et Camélia, Lillian et Winnie aiment faire la cuisine. Et on a trouvé Camélia et Winnie aiment faire du shopping. Okay? Donc, on a trouvé des choses en commun aussi. Et ici, qui a dit ça? Et qui l'a dit? Je suis toujours en train de faire mes devoirs. Je suis toujours always in the process of doing homework. Ça, c'était... toujours un problème avec ça. Ça, c'était Waji. J'ai de la chance parce que je viens d'Amérique ou des États-Unis. J'ai de la chance, I'm lucky. Bon, il dit Owen. J'ai peur de parler en public. C'était Maddie qui a dit ça. Je veux avoir l'occasion de rendre visite à mes cousines Ça, c'était Lillian. Quand je suis nerveuse, j'ai tendance à jouer avec mes mains. Ça, c'était Danny. J'ai tendance à, I have a tendency to. J'ai envie d'aller au cinéma. Ça, c'était Perry. Et j'ai hâte de voir le printemps. C'était Christine qui a dit ça. Okay? So remember last time we talked about idiomatic expressions with être and with avoir. Okay. Okay. Aujourd'hui, on n'a pas beaucoup de temps. We have 10 minutes, so I'm going to go over this quickly, but you've already studied the lesson. Verb irrégulier. So we talk a lot of irregular verbs here. Okay, this should be a review from 1101, 1102. So it's not completely new, but just to refresh your memory on the conjugation of some irregular verbs. So the N in UIRE, IR, a group of this is a special group of IR verbs like offrir, souffrir. Then there's the whole group of soutenir. Okay, so these are just conjugations that you need to memorize. Okay, compléter logiquement les descriptions de ces traditions culturelles. Okay, et donc on a nous, et vous devez choisir le bon verbe et puis la bonne conjugaison. Okay, donc nous, quelqu'un peut répondre ici, nous quoi? De la bière verte. Un volontaire? Ou peut-être vous avez besoin un peu de temps pour réfléchir. You probably might need a little bit of a refresher memory. OK, je vais faire pour vous. Nous servons de la bière verte. Puis une bouteille de champagne. On a souffrir, ouvrir. Donc, il ouvre une bouteille de champagne. Vous, puis des fleurs. Offrir ou construire des fleurs. Donc, vous offrez des fleurs. Elle, des œufs en chocolat dans le jardin. Okay, chocolate eggs in the garden. Donc, elle, okay, traduire is to translate, découvrir, to discover. Donc, elle découvre des œufs en chocolat dans le jardin. Puis, un sapin de décoration. Okay, couvrir, to cover, détruire, to destroy. Donc, c'est plutôt, je couvre un sapin de décoration. Un sapin is a Christmas tree. Donc, I cover a Christmas tree with decorations. Puis un drapeau avec une étoile et un croissant, a crescent. Donc, on conduire, to drive, ou tenir, to hold. Donc, on tient un drapeau avec une étoile et un croissant. Okay, to hold a flag. Donc, déterminer ce que chaque description de l'État en symbolise. Donc, la culture musulmane, ça, c'est 6. Okay, le Pâques, Easter, numéro 4. La fête de la Saint-Patrick, c'est 1. Okay, la bière verte, St. Patrick's Day. Noël, bien sûr, c'est 5. 5 couvre un sapin de décoration. Puis le bonheur, une célébration, ça c'est 2. Une bouteille de champagne, n'est-ce pas? Et des excuses, 3. Vous offrez des fleurs. Oui, pour excuser, quand on veut s'excuser, on peut offrir des fleurs. OK. Ici, je veux juste comme ça veut dire que ici, j'adore les chats, comme beaucoup d'entre vous aussi, vous adorez les chats aussi. Moi, j'adore les chats. Les chats me plaisent. OK? Les chats plaisent à moi. So literally, the cats are pleasing to me. But in French, we say les chats me plaisent. J'aime beaucoup le vin. Moi, c'est plutôt le vin blanc. Donc, I can say le vin me plaît. Literally, le vin plaît à moi. The wine is pleasing to me. Okay, ma mère n'aime pas les chats. C'est vrai. Ma mère n'aime pas les chats. Donc, on peut dire les chats ne lui plaisent pas ou les chats lui déplaisent ou les chats déplaisent à elle. OK. Ou mes cousins détestent la bière. La bière leur déplaît ou la bière déplaît à mes cousins. Okay, so this is with the verb plaire. It's a verb where the word order, as you can see, is different. So les chats me plaisent. The cats are pleasing to me, literally. Okay, so another way to say I like cats. J'aime beaucoup le vin me plaît. Wine is pleasing to me. Ma mère n'aime pas les chats ne lui plaît pas. Okay, so it's another way to form the sentence. So le verbe plaire à. So two verbs that share the same pattern, plaire à and déplaire is to displease. Note that an accent circumflex appears on the I of the il, el, on form. Also note that these verbs require an indirect object and that their use requires a different word order from that of English. In English, we say, Luc likes the painting, right? But in French here, la peinture plaît à Luc. So literally the painting is pleasing to Luc. Les insultes me déplaisent. I do not like insults. Okay, insults put me off. So it doesn't mean the word order, the painting, so la peinture plaît à Luc means Luc likes the painting. In English, we have the subject first here, but in French, the object comes first. Okay, so just very, very quickly, okay, shout out the answer A or B. You're going to choose the sentence that has the same meaning. So, le panda plaît à Claire. Does this mean le panda aime bien Claire ou Claire aime bien le panda? The sentence is le panda plaît à Claire. B. Oui, merci. B. Okay, so it's Claire aime bien le panda. Donc, la grenouille ne plaît pas à Abia. Donc, A, la grenouille n'aime pas Abia ou Abia n'aime pas la grenouille. A ou B?
B.
B. It's Abia who doesn't like the frog. Les enfants plaisent aux lions. Les lions aiment bien les enfants ou les enfants aiment bien les lions? A ou B? Who likes the lions? Who likes the
B.
C'est plutôt, no, say A. Wait,
Yeah.
the lions like the children. In French, we say les enfants plaisent aux lions. So the word order is different. So in English, we say the lions like the children, but in French we say les enfants plaisent aux lions. So be careful of word order. Just because children is the first thing you see, the subject, it doesn't mean in this construction that it's that the children are the ones in this case, doing the action of liking something. Donc 4, les touristes déplaisent aux coqs. Donc A, les touristes n'aiment pas les coqs ou les coqs n'aiment pas les touristes. A ou B? Say B. But your tendency is going to be A. And actually, I do research on word order things. There are a lot of things like in French, in Italian, other thing, the word order is different. And there's a very strong tendency for us when we're learning a language, no matter what language, to assume that the first subject that we see is the agent of the sentence. It's a very common pull that we have. Even if our first language has a very flexible word order, it has, so even like this is French, right? Even though in French we have this word order, when a French person goes to study another language, like Spanish, for example, and Italian has the same kind of construction, they too will have the tendency to assume that the subject, the first subject that they see is the one doing the action. It is a very strong pull. We have a lot of research on this, that we're starting to think that this is a universal phenomenon, that when you're learning a language, this is just what you do. So not a surprise if those of you who picked the first, the subject, the first noun, not a surprise, because there's a lot of research to show that our tendency is to do that.
Yeah, I was just wondering though, I don't know
Yes.
if it's right, but this is how I read the sentence. I don't know if it's right at all, but I just said like the tourists displeased the cooks. I don't know if that word means displeased or not.
It does mean to displease. Yes, it
Okay.
does. Déplaise, plaire à is to please. Déplaire is to displease.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Alright.
So you're right. Yeah, you're right there. Are we out of time? What time is it? I can't see the.
7:09.
OK, c'est 7h10. Donc, on va continuer la prochaine fois, parce que je veux pas, on a encore une minute. OK, donc, c'est ça. OK, so the structure that I just showed you, it is a more advanced kind of structure. I do not expect you to be able to use that in spontaneous conversation. It's something that's going to take a long time for you to develop. So, but what I do want you to know is to be able to recognize that structure. So receptively to be able, when you see, like, just like the exercise that I'm showing you, to be able to figure out what it means. Okay. But I do not expect you to be able to use that structure in a grammatic correct way. It will be a long time before you will be able to do that. And that's just part of the process. OK, OK, on va terminer ici parce que je ne veux pas vous garder trop longtemps. Mais just a reminder, I think you have upcoming for the next, let's see, you have a discussion forum that opens today. OK, that will be due on Thursday, but it opens today. So just to alert you to that. OK. Est-ce qu'il y a des questions? Ça va? OK. OK, donc, merci beaucoup et on va se voir jeudi. OK, donc, bonsoir.
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir.